Breathing love. Breathing has been accepted as a means to fill the lungs with air, oxygen, and let the body disperse of that medium appropriately. Hence, a purely physical exercise, relying on all the organs in the body to work correctly. If an organ breaks down, the cause is then the organ that now seems to cause other issues. So attention is given to the organ as a separate entity, and on and on. The body is not seen as a living expression, but as an animate object that walks and talks to the degree of its seeming intelligence. This is an accepted view of how man has come to regard himself, seemingly. Breathing naturally follows one's awareness. Wherever one's awareness is focused, that is where one has laid one's attention. To the degree that one identifies as a body sense, does one's mind obey the rules of that sense. As one identifies as awareness, does the body then seem to obey divine rule. Body is an invisible, perfect, complete whole idea within the awareness being I. In truth, one is forever inhaling and exhaling love in the relative. In the meantime, one has a body, and how that body operates to a large degree depends on how one comes to operate or manage the body. The breath of life is a constant. It does not stop just because one may think one lives in a separate sense of self called Jane or Jack, or because one may think that breathing is something one has a choice over. In essence, one is forever breathing the light of Christ, even if one thinks otherwise. Self-healing by doing absolutely nothing. I have a beautiful classic car that I use every day. It is my pride and my joy. I love my car. I clean it, I polish it, I maintain it. If at any time it should show signs of neglect, I restore my car to its pristine state. I love my car. I get in my car and I drive my car every day, doing errands, visiting friends, or just going for a long drive. I feel at one with my car as I drive it, as it responds to my mind and takes me where I wish it to go. But I am not my car. It is understood that attention is key here. Or to wherever one directs one's attention, that is where one's interest is being vested. Then to focus one's attention on a focal point that is not just another distraction, that may seem to invoke any kind of thinking process, but to something that invokes a sense of neutrality or peace. There may also be a focal point I have not yet discovered that would be equally as profound, if not more, that may or may not be uncovered as one stays focused upon one's objective. It is the neutrality that is important here, because anything that holds a feeling, a desire, a distraction, even an unconscious feeling of desire, would act as a distraction, as one may get drawn into a thinking process about the said distraction. Just listening to nothing is still listening to something. The something is nothing, but as neutral as it gets in time-space sense of being. This is one's starting point in listening and waiting on God, being, pure, unadulterated, conscious awareness. Here one is giving all of one's attention to oneself, and most importantly, one needs to be willing to listen. and wait for eternity without setting a boundary. The most simplistic method for listening, hearing oneself, starts by simply listening. One can be doing anything, running, walking, in a supermarket, shopping, or just sitting in a comfortable posture. One's position is not essential. What is essential is that one is listening to the sound in one's head known as the audible life stream, or ALS. An important point here is, whilst one is listening to ALS, one is not thinking. The mind is engaged only to the point that one is receptive to what one's needs are. This is an indirect link to the awareness being responsible to one's own well-being. Transcendental meditation, in this case, is a tool one uses. It is essentially me doing nothing. One may find doing nothing a simple activity, imagining it as sitting reading a book or just doing a physical activity. My body reacts to impulses from my mind, so it stands to reason that to do nothing with my body, I first need to do nothing with my mind. Transcendental meditation is essentially bringing the mind-body to a stillness, where awareness that is being oneself is known. For the purpose of simplicity, put one's body in a comfortable seating position that one may find oneself in anywhere, geographically, at any time, necessitates only two things: oneself and a position one needs to be in maintained comfortably for a period of time. That being said, as one practices this technique, one will find, as said earlier, one may be in this stillness of mind anywhere at any time. Having chosen a spot to be seated, sitting comfortably, there are no rules surrounding sitting comfortably. Whatever works is good. Bring oneself to a rest of body, i.e. sit comfortably still. The mind may want to talk about running down the road, but here is where discipline takes shape. To recall, the body-mind is not the master. Oneself is master. Body-mind is a tool one uses. One may use prayer or a mantra to help still the mind. If at any point the thinking mind wishes to ramble, talk to it gently and ask it to be still. One can go further by inviting it in as a friend and giving it something to chew on. Say, "Dear mind, I know you love to talk, but here's the deal. You be quiet for 5 minutes and then you may talk as much as you like. But each time you start talking, before the 5 minutes is up, the clock starts again." "Hey, 5 minutes, I can do that, no problem," says the mind. But here's the thing. If the talking mind is quiescent for 5 minutes, it is not going to start talking. It seems to become satisfied in the stillness. One is now sitting in the waiting room, waiting unconditionally. One is not waiting for anything with any expectation. One is waiting with no expectation, unconditionally, just waiting, listening expectantly, listening to hear, listening that one may hear the sound of butterfly wings, waiting patiently, listening in a state of receptivity. In the stillness of mind, without movement of the body, take one's inner gaze upward to one's third eye, known as the doorway to heaven. Listening to the silence. Staying in the silence, listening intently to the silence, one finds the silence seems to expand. It seems to engulf one's whole sense of being. One's attention is aware of a sudden shift in perception as one's centre of awareness seems to move back in one's sense of self, as one discovers one is being. Or more accurately put, being is being oneself, the self one is. Here, any sense of personal mind or body sense has disappeared. There is a sense of being known again. The question is, am I who I thought I am? Or is what is now known the real I am? What comes next is healing, where one knows one's perceived world out there has not any power over the power being I, the very I being the I that I am.